Yeah, well, good afternoon. My name is Gordon M. Benjamin, and for most people, M stands for middle initial. I'm a 1966 graduate of Breckenridge High School here in San Antonio, Texas, and a 1971 graduate of Prairie View A&M University. As of July of 2024, I've been in San Antonio 61 years. We arrived here when I was a teenager, as my mother was transferred from the Pentagon and civil service to Randolph Air Force Base. 1963 was a turbulent year for this country, and the impressions that I received after leaving my birth city of Alexandria, Louisiana, and riding to Washington, D.C. In the spring of 1973 and early summer, to see the changes that were about to take place in this country. We rode through various southern states, starting with Mississippi, Alabama, crossed Georgia diagonally, and went through the Carolinas and Maryland to arrive in Washington, D.C. My mother sent my brother on various trips, gave us bus fares and find your way around and take a look and see what's going on. And being in a larger city than where I grew up, it made an impression on me. And when I got to see the Constitution of the United States in glass at the Smithsonian and all the other artifacts of this country at the Smithsonian Institute, I was impressed. So arriving in San Antonio on July 23rd or 24th, Mother and I differed as to the date. It was 106 degrees, and there was one tree and one terminal at San Antonio International Airport. We lived in a guest house for 2 weeks before Mother found a place, and I still know that address, 2002 East Crockett, corner of Crockett and Walters, across from future educator, Miss Katie Jones, and her family, Mr. Ike Jones, and those children who remain friends to this day. Attending Breckenridge in 1963, there was so much else going on in the country. The March on Washington, which we left a month or so prior to that taking place. On September the 15th of 63, the Ku Klux Klan, Dynamite Bob Cherry, set off a bomb at the 16th Street Baptist Church. It was my brother's 13th birthday. Down into the remainder of 63, Breckenridge played Robert E. Lee, final score 55-48, the duel between Linus Bear and Warren McVeigh. The last one with the ball would have won the game, but Breckenridge ran out of time. The president at the time, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated the day of the game, and it was debated as to whether the teams would play this game. But both schools and their administrations decided it was a come-together type of football game. The first high school football game to be broadcast in the state of Texas. And I remind viewers of the history of these things in order to set the table for what I see as activism. I participated in speech and drama at Breckenridge. I represented the school in extemporaneous speaking, one-act plays, and various debates at the various speech tournaments that were being held around the Alamo City within Bexar County. And inner city kids, quote unquote, were not supposed to be competitive, but we had a certain amount of pride. And I think that's where I began to take an interest in politics. I spent 2 years at St. Philip's before attending Prairie View. And Prairie View was an experience. First time being away from home, living around other young men and young women. Although the dorms were segregated by gender, but being away from home, you had to establish, what you were going to do and when you were going to do it. And my first 2 semesters there were, worthwhile. I had to take off a semester to come back and work, save some money, and go back to school. Graduated in 1971. In the spring of 1970, I made the dean's list with a 3.65 grade point average the highest average in the School of Arts and Sciences. In the fall of 1970, I pledged to Omega Psi Phi Fraternities Incorporated, and this year will make 54 years that I have been a member, gladly. Didn't know what I was doing to begin with. I was one of those guys that had never pledged before, and a lot of my, quote, line brothers, unquote, had pledged either Persian Rifles or some other social organization while on campus. In the spring of that year, I also ran for student body president. I lost by 1 vote simply because I had no Greek affiliation, and the winner was already a member of one of the other male fraternities. And that's how I think he was able to win, because he had more connections, and me living off campus, I didn't have that hookup with the other Greek organizations. But the test came to me to be, outspoken to some, but to be informed, as well as to carry that message in order to get organized and to have a greater impact on whatever time I had, either at school or going out into the community. Upon graduation, I did a lot of substitute teaching for the San Antonio Independent School District, substitute teaching in the Harlandale School District. I worked a part-time job at Fort Sam, and gradually I worked various other different community organizations in various positions with other community organizations. Project Able, which was a substance abuse program. I spent almost 5 years with the city of San Antonio in the youth services department, giving kids in a diversion manner, telling them the structure of the juvenile justice system and encouraging them to pick up some of the tools that it would take to handle the responsibilities of adulthood. And again, the politics of helping other kids understand what it takes to be successful in adulthood, because if you're not picking up tools at 14, there's no do-over when you're 18. Look around, you don't have any tools that it takes to handle the responsibilities of adulthood, then that child becomes an adult, and most likely an offender, and stuck into the